Hi guys, my name is Kudo. I'm the host of the PlayStation Point. Today with me is Tyler. Hopefully Armando will be on next week or the week after to talk about Persona 5, despite the fact that you can't understand it. And we're going to really talk about leftovers of TGS because the minute we went offline from recording the last podcast, a bunch of shit hit the internet. So, yeah, we have some stuff to catch up on.
Yeah,
Tyler?
that's not a whole lot. I can't. There's not a whole lot I can add to it, honestly.
Well, you were also just streaming right now, and I had to come get you, so.
Yeah, sorry. I like Destiny a lot.
Alright then.
Considering that
What?
I have over 200 hours in Destiny, I mean, it should be fair that I'm going to be spending a lot of time with playing Destiny day one when stuff comes out.
True.
So,
But starting off now, actually, if you like anime, the PlayStation Vita will be getting the Funimation Now app in October, and the PS4 and PS3 version will be getting ad support as well. So, hey, you like
mhm.
anime.
Yep. And who doesn't like anime?
Someone who doesn't have a soul.
I think even
Yeah.
people without souls like anime.
Yeah, they're trash.
I was one of those people years ago that was just like, I can't be bothered because I'm like way too busy to watch anime. And then I was like, okay, Splatoon's out and it makes me want to watch Squid Girl, so I'm gonna watch Squid Girl. And then I started watching Love Live
I
and
was
Give Me
raised
Nickelodeon.
on video games, anime, and manga from my brother, so it's my blood.
I was uh I was one of those kids who grew up with like the Pokemon anime, grew out of the Pokemon anime, and then had a bunch of friends all over the place that were just like, you ever watch Dragon Ball Z? Like, no.
Dragon Ball
Oh,
Z is shit.
well, that's the thing. I remember there being like a discussion on Off Topic at some point on Rooster Teeth, and they were like, when you grow up, you things like 3 years younger than you think is stupid. So like, if you grew up in the age of Pokemon, then people were just like, that's for kids, right? It's like, yeah, because I was a kid when Pokemon was coming out, and if you were like 3 years before the Pokemon age, you were the kid who watched Dragon Ball Z all the time.
I mean, my brother was technically older than that, but like he watched all of it.
It was like a high schoolers thing. Was Dragon Ball?
Um, when Dragon Ball Z came out, I think my brother was maybe entering high school. He was born in like the 80s.
Yeah,
So
Dragon Ball Z was like early '90s because there was a Dragon Ball before that, the original Dragon Ball.
if it was coming out on like Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, he
It was Cartoon Network at the time.
yeah, I think he was in high school by then.
It was
I
like
want to.
early. It was like early stages Toonami.
Yeah, I think my brother was in high school then actually, but then like me and my sister watched Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura,
Yeah,
and then anything else that was on like Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network.
the one anime I couldn't tolerate, even when I was a kid, was Yu-Gi-Oh.
I watched that too. I
Yeah, I
watched
watched.
so much anime and cartoons as a kid. It's just like I know all of these.
I remember. I remember the moment when I realized that Yu-Gi-Oh was stupid was when Joey was comatose, but the only reason he woke up and won his battle was because the directors watching over that match were just like, all right, they're both dead. Wait for one of them to stand up, and whoever stands up wins the duel. Even though one guy clearly blatantly cheated. I'm like, what? This is not how card games work.
I mean, like the other thing is that Yu-Gi-Oh is actually based off of what is it, Magic the Gathering?
Very loosely. I'll say
So
very loosely because I think Magic the Gathering is vastly more interesting.
I mean, like
Ever since they added XYZ cards, I gave negative shits about Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't even care about XYZ. Whatever. whatever the new pseudo summons are, I don't care.
I mean, like I tried to learn Yu-Gi-Oh, but I realized that I did not understand card games as a kid.
Yeah.
Versus we're like now, what's Bushiroad's anime card game called? Because I actually have the Kill a Kill deck. Like boyfriend's like, I want you to get into this.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I have a friend that's actually into it.
Yeah, I also want to get like the Disgaea deck, and I want the Persona 4 deck, but I can't find that, so I might wait for a Persona 5 deck actually to come out in English.
They have a lot of card games actually. What? Why do they have so many card games?
I don't know.
Alice Cross, Card Fight Vanguard, Chaos TCG, Five Cross, spelled with a Q. Future Card Buddy Fight, Jewel Pet Trading Card Game, King of Pro Wrestling, Luck and Logic, Monster Collection. Oh, it's called Weiss Schwarz.
Oh, White Schwartz, yes, White Schwartz. That's what it is. I was just like, name.
Yeah, Weiss Schwarz. He talks about it all the time, Weiss Schwarz.
It's actually pretty good. So,
yeah, I've heard about it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I've heard about it, and that's all I'm like,
because they go to conventions actually, and they give people like cards, and they actually teach them how to play. It's actually really cool.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that do that with a lot of card games. I like Super Fight is one of them actually.
Like, I would like to sit down and play more. It's just like I'm having so many tech issues with my significant other that it's like you can't really play over the internet because internet's shit where he is. Like, it got downgraded to like dial up essentially, and then his phone is not working. His computer is non-functional at the moment.
Right.
So I guess we'll have to wait till maybe like Thanksgiving or Christmas. We'll just be playing another game then. So I can better understand how to actually play it.
How many messages did you send me on how many social media formats?
You
sent me
Twitter?
Messages on Twitter, on Twitch, on Discord.
Yeah, those three.
I'm not counting Google because like that's global.
Oh, I didn't send anything in Google, like, because you'll never
you sent
respond.
me a Hangout invite.
For this one?
I think so.
No, I only sent you the link.
Fair enough. By the way, I'm like, I might as well stop Discord from pinging me about new messages I don't care about, and then I look and it's just like, Demon Sorcerer sent new message.
Yeah, you fucked up.
Your Twitch export to YouTube succeeded. Wow, that was fast. Okay. Anyways, back on topic. Anime, card games,
and Persona. Persona 5 released, and it's awesome if you listen to the OST. Unfortunately, Atlas is taking down any videos on YouTube, and this includes soundtrack videos as well.
Yep. All the better, really.
I mean, like, I was talking to Armando about it, because, like, he just got his 20th anniversary Famitsu edition from Japan, and it's probably because, like, people are gonna spoil it, and I'm like, well, Japanese users don't really use YouTube that much because of copyright law. Like, I remember reading, I think this was on Anime News Network.
It's all gonna be on Nico Nico Video.
Yeah, they would do it on Nico Nico, which not really on YouTube. Like, a lot of Japanese YouTubers or users don't really use YouTube.
Yeah.
For, like, because of copyright law. Otherwise, like, everything's on Nico Nico Douga, and I'm fine with that.
The thing about Nico Nico is it's also a streaming service.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the Japanese version of YouTube, but I feel like better at times.
It's better because it did it all first. Like, it had streaming and it had like the YouTube format way before YouTube did.
But then, like, they released in English, and then it never really caught on here. Just YouTube.
Well, yeah, which is terrible because I really would use Nico Nico a lot in order to, like, watch streams and stuff from Japan.
I would too for, like, the Vocaloid music videos, but, like, we don't have that because, like,
yeah,
for some reason the English site and then, like, the main site are separate, even though it's like it really shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if search tags aren't in English and they're all in Japanese and you don't know Japanese, well, you're fucked.
Yeah. That's why it's a nightmare to pay attention to anything Love Live related unless it's been translated by fans on Tumblr.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
But hey, like, we have 5 more months until the game is released here. I'm pretty sure people are loving the game right now. They loved the demo before. And apparently, I believe it's just Japanese users, but they're getting themes and avatars for their PS4 in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
which is
We'll probably
awesome.
be getting him here.
I know, I don't know, because, like, I love my Prinny theme. So, I mean, I don't think I'm going to change that.
I'm a fan of my No Man's Sky theme, honestly.
I haven't seen it, but it's probably like,
It's
is
just
it?
it's like a static image that you
Oh,
see on like.
it's not dynamic.
I think it's dynamic. I can actually look. I still have my PS4 on because literally 5 minutes before we started the podcast, I was streaming, so I still have everything up except OBS because I need my webcam for this. Let me look.
Well, Digimon World Next Order was announced for PlayStation 4 for the West in early 2017. People thought it was also going to be for PS Vita, but then Namco Bandai clarified that it's only for PS4, so for Vita.
Yeah, it's a static theme. It's just this picture,
Oh.
except in a very wide format. Oh,
It's still like a good like stock image though. So I mean like
yeah. I appreciate high color range.
Then there's this other game that's coming out. NIS America announced it, but I've never heard of it. It's called Birthdays the Beginning. Is coming to PS4 and PC in the West for early 2017 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So 2017 is looking to be like pretty fucking good for games. Unlike this year where it's been like delay.
Yeah.
And then of course Nier is getting a limited edition called the Black Box Edition. So you get like a figure. There's also gonna be a concert and a live talk on the DVD, and the soundtrack, an art book, and there's gonna be probably some more stuff. But like, yeah, limited edition. Ready to? Well, no, Sony's ready to take your money, essentially.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I gotta find something else. Considering that there's just a lot. There's just so much. There's a lot of Japanese stuff too. Like, I've seen that there are reports of Japanese publishers being like, "Oh yeah, we actually really like bringing these niche Japanese games over to the West." I think NIS was one of them.
NIS America is like definitely one of them. They bring over like little niche anime like Natsume's Book of Friends. Like,
yeah,
they're really like, I love them because like they bring over the small stuff for the smaller fans, and they're willing to like put in like the marketing and like do the limited editions. They understand like what a lot of anime gamers like want if they're in the niche market. And I'm like, thank you, because like a lot of AAA companies will not do that. They're like, no, you guys aren't worth money, but it's like, but we're still an audience.
Yeah, that's the thing as well that I feel was like a big thing when Dead or Alive Extreme 3 came out. The game was already translated and everything, so it had English text and everything in it, but they just never released it in the West. So people were just like, all right, I'll import it because clearly it's already done for the West, so I'll just import it. But I feel like they were doing that particularly because they could have a larger foothold on the profits that they would get from it.
I guess like if you're exporting it, but at the same time, like if it was already translated, they should have just like released it in the West. Like,
I don't know what their reasoning was. I can look. Can't believe I'm going to Google Dead or Alive Extreme 3, but...
Well, so I'm pretty sure you heard like people assumed that Kojima was involved with Metal Gear Survive, and no, he wasn't. I don't know why people assume that, because like once you're cut off from a company, you're no longer associated with that IP, and they can do whatever the fuck they want. And considering how Konami's a piece of shit, like why would Konami asks him to come back, they like hate him essentially, or at least like the top people hate him, but they're stupid. So, meh.
Okay. Well, if we're talking about TGS stuff, apparently a PC version of Dead or Alive Extreme 3 came out. It was announced there.
Well,
Dead or Alive Extreme Venus Vacation.
okay.
Yeah, Dead or Alive Extreme 3 has a PS4 version called Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Fortune and a Vita version called Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Venus. Game was distributed exclusively in Asian territories where it was released, though it does contain an English language option.
Shrug.
Yeah. It's region, so it was released exclusively to Asian markets, but following protests from fans, the director said a version of the game adjusted for North America might come to the West. However, Team Ninja posted on the franchise's Facebook stating that they will not release it in Western territories, even though the game includes an English language option and is region-free on both systems.
I mean, like, I guess that works because of the region-free format, but it's still weird. Like, you went all this effort to translate it, but then you're just like, oh, we're not going to release it. I mean, like, they
Like I
didn't
said,
want to cut...
the only major reason I can see why they would do it is to have a higher foothold on the profits that they will gather from sales.
Are you sure it's not dealing with the ERSB and, like censoring stuff?
Probably. They probably went to like get it rated by the SRB, and then they're just like, you got to change some stuff, and they're like, no.
Why not just say that? Like, why do they have to be like?
They probably couldn't. I think a lot of stuff has to be non-disclosure agreement with the ESRB rating system.
That seems kind of silly in that regard, but okay.
I don't know how it works. I'm not a game developer yet.
Not yet. Well, neither am I. But you know what's awesome is Death Stranding might come out in 2018. You can hold Kojima to that. I'm actually like, when I heard that, I was like, I'm not sure if that's really going to happen because like Kojima says things and sometimes he doesn't make that. Like, there's just some people where they're like, they think they're going to make it by this date, but then like they're following their own time. They're not running by like everyone else's time. So then like what becomes their release date is actually like much later.
Well, it's worth noting that before he announced when it was possibly going to come out, he already said that the game's engine was already complete.
Yeah, your engine's already complete.
He was just working. Yeah, the engine's already complete, so all he has to do is develop the game now.
Yeah, but that still takes time, though.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing about That's the thing with what MGS5 was like. When Ground Zeroes came out, it already had like the baselines for what the engine was going to include, and then the next couple years were spent making sure that the engine was right before actually developing the game. Which is like the big part. That's why there's such drastic changes between Ground Zeroes and MGS5. If you actually play it, if you actually play both, there's a lot of differences.
I mean, that's fine. It's just like that's a lot of time and money in the terms of business.
Kojima
costs money.
Kojima worrying about money? You got to be kidding me. Also,
I don't think
wondering why I'm leaning over. There's a cat here that I'm petting.
Oh, kitty.
Piggy.
I just like kitty.
She's camera shy.
I don't doubt that.
Well, she's just shy in general, like very skittish.
But you know what's awesome is Gravity Rush 2 is getting a release date or release year of 2018. So 2017-18 are looking to be pretty awesome for games.
Yeah, 2016 was already pretty good for games, but it looks like it's going to get better. I've had a great time. The new Hitman's great. The new Doom was fantastic.
I do not play those. Like, I'm just like waiting for like Zelda's Breath of the Wild, waiting for Persona 5.
The sad thing is that if you're waiting for Breath of the Wild, you're not only waiting for Breath of the Wild, you're also waiting for the NX.
I'm not sure if I would buy the NX, to be honest. Like, I have all these systems.
I'm not sure if I care right now about the NX. I just, Because
Well,
every time I go on Twitter, it's just like, please give news. I'm like, no, no.
I mean,
I'm,
like, I have a Wii U. I'll probably just buy it for the Wii U.
and then when the NX comes out, you'll just be like, all right, I'll probably
I
wait
I,
for it
I
to.
need like 5 games in order to like make the
Yeah,
NX worth it.
I bought the Wii U simply because I wanted to play Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the TV. And then afterwards, I started getting a library, which is the thing. Like, I just need that one big game that'll sell me. Breath of the Wild
Splatoon.
wouldn't sell me on an NX, but a bunch of other
Like
stuff.
Animal Crossing, second Splatoon, Zelda, Mario Kart could sell me too. I still need to get Mario Kart 8 to be honest in the DLC. I'm not sure what that fifth game would be. Like it could be like a third party game like Bayonetta 3. I would
Yeah.
totally play that. I haven't
Um,
played all the other Bayonetta games, but like there's Bayonetta, I'll totally play it.
I know what game won't sell you on an NX. The very first game announced for the NX, Just Dance 2017.
Fuck no. Why would I want that shit?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind. I played Just Dance 2016 like earlier this year, and I was just like, you know what? I keep hearing about it, so I'm just gonna try it. And I was like, yay, I'm having fun, woo! And then I was like, cool, I'm done. I'm done with dancing for the year.
Yeah, I hurt my ankle, so like I'm just trying to walk right now.
Hmm.
I don't know what I did, but I guess when I fell off my longboard about 2 weeks ago, and I guess I scraped my like a chunk off my ankle.
Hmm.
I think that's when I fucked it up because like now if I try to push off the like when I'm pushing off with my right foot, like if I the way my foot is, it's just like my ankle's just like ugh. So like I feel like I pulled a muscle, but I'm not really sure. So I'm heading to the doctor tomorrow,
Hmm.
early in the morning, because
Yep.
that's what they had was available. But yeah,
Safe.
be careful when you're trying to longboard.
Right. I haven't skateboarded in years, so I don't have to worry about that. I hope.
Well, I mean, like the reason like why anyone like gets longboards at my school is to get around. Campus is big, so if you need to be on like the north side of campus and then the south side of campus in like 10 minutes, a longboard or a scooter or a bike is useful. You
Hmm.
know what I've seen people do is they put like a motor under like the board, and it's like electronic. So like they have like a remote in one hand and they just use that to get
Hmm.
around. I've seen like guys with like Starbucks in one hand and they're just zipping around. I'm like, you're going to kill someone.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. They spend more time uh, lightening their load to get to their class than they probably do spending time focusing on studying in their class.
Well, I mean, like weight is a big issue when you're doing something like a board, like you're writing something.
Hmm.
So like a lot of times, also in class, you don't really need certain books. Like you'll need like a notebook or your phone, or in most cases, some people just use their computer
Right.
and it works. So I mean, it just depends how you set things up, how like your professors are like, are they okay with technology, or are they just like no one's allowed to have their phone out?
Right.
So it kind of just depends. And like, there's like actually a bike lane, but like no one really well, people use it, but people don't really like pay attention to it. Really bad, but yeah, people like I noticed just like wander aimlessly. They don't really look where they're going. It's kind of sad, really. But there's also like a guy who's using like a push stick
Mm.
to get around with his longboard. It's like amazing. It's like he's canoeing. But yeah. And then if a Japanese account for PlayStation and you also have PlayStation Plus for whatever reason, you will get a demo of Gravity Rush 2 after once TGS is like fully done. So I think like you could try to get like the 2 week trial if you haven't done that before, and you could also get the demo that way.
Right.
If you're really into Gravity Rush, like people are really excited about that. I noticed. I can't be excited because I can't play the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Damn you, motion sickness.
VR. The future is now, except anyone who has motion sickness are going to be left behind.
I was actually talking to one of the Taiko members after the practice before, and we were getting like Taco Bell, and at Taco Bell, like there's this $5 quesarito deal, or basically like it's a box for $5. You get a drink, 2 tacos, and a burrito.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think there's codes to win a PlayStation VR, and like he's working. He had to go work at E3 because he was working for this company that makes VR games, and he's just like, you should get the Vive because like the PSVR isn't really that great. Neither is the Oculus when it first started. So like I'm like, okay, I still have to upgrade my graphics card to a 1081 realistically, and then have to pay for the Vive, which is like $600.
Right.
So I mean, like, it's still a lot of money, and I already have a PlayStation 4.
Well, the big thing is I knew that the PlayStation VR was going to have some issues because when they first announced the PSVR, they were just like, "Oh yeah, it's going to work on all PS4 systems," and I'm like, "Okay, that's cool. I wonder how they're going to pull this off." And then when they talked about the PlayStation 4 Pro's utilization of the PlayStation VR, they used the term higher frame rates, and that's when it clicked. I'm just like, "Oh no." What's the frame rate going to be on a PSVR on a classic PS4?
I
Because if it's anything
mean,
less than 60 FPS, that is going to be nauseating for anyone.
like, we'll just have to wait and see until like reviews come out, or
Mhm.
Armando tries it out.
Yeah,
I mean, like in that case, then if you want to get PlayStation VR, you might have to upgrade to the Pro if you have a
yeah.
classic. Because right now,
It's
GameStop is like, oh, we can give you some credit back, like $125, and then you have to pay like $250 for the new PlayStation Pro.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, uh,
I like my Glacier White PS4 anyways.
I like my classic black PlayStation 4. Like, I don't feel like I need to upgrade. So it's just kind of irritating.
Yeah,
Because like if you think about the cost of like the PlayStation VR with the cost of say upgrading to like Pro, that's like what $650, and that's just like a bit above like the Vive headset by itself.
yeah.
And like maybe I'll need another $200 for like the graphics card, maybe. So that's like $800 for the Vive. So there's what $150 difference between the two.
Right. It's not like I need to sell drugs on the street or anything to get ready for the future, but I think I might need to sell drugs on the street to get ready for the future.
I just I don't know. Like I want to play Psychonauts, Rhombus and Ruin, and Dreams from Medium Molecule. So I'm kind of like, well, I'm gonna want to play PlayStation VR anyway.
Yeah. When
Um,
PlayStation VR comes out, the first assurance that people are going to have on whether or not it's a good purchase is when they play Resident Evil 7 with
yeah,
and
cause
Farpoint.
yeah, cause that's gonna support 4K and HDR.
Yeah, it's going to support 4K HDR PSVR on the
So I
PlayStation
mean,
4
like,
anyway.
if Sony can't get that working, I want to say a classic, then
Well,
they're gonna have issues.
the two major things that we're going to know the moment that the PSVR comes out is when people load into the demo disc. Is it going to cause motion sickness? And is it going to be playable? Is the other thing.
Well, yeah, because like some people already who've already tried out VR say that like you can't play like the first time for 8 hours. You just can't do that. You have to like slowly like
You
acclimate
have to play.
yourself.
You have to play within chunks to start until you get like a tolerance.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's going to be interesting when people are reviewing it I'm sure some streamers will get it ahead of time, but they will still have to have it, set up.
Yeah. It's like bullets. You shoot yourself with smaller bullets in order to get a tolerance for the bigger bullets. Don't
What's
actually
in
shoot yourself, please.
No, we already had enough gun violence
Yeah.
like this past weekend. Other than that, like I don't know, like it's just gonna be interesting when October rolls around and it launches.
Hmm.
Because like my one thing is like I don't know about space. So like, well, you need 60 square feet, and I was like, okay, but who has that much space that doesn't already like own a house or has a big apartment?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, if you're a college student and you have that, you either have to have money.
I mean, like, look at this. I have maybe 2 feet of space back here
That's
in my
not.
work area. That's not going to
That's
be
just
enough for VR.
no.
Yeah.
I depending on when I get it, I don't. I might not be in the same place. Probably no. So I don't know.
Hmm.
Armando has like his own room, so like he'll have room for it. Whether or not he'll have time for it is another question, because like he's
Yeah.
just been complaining on Twitter about not having time at all.
Yeah. The other thing is some VR developers make versions of the game playable without having to like move from your seat,
Why
which
can't we
is
just have that?
yeah. I don't know, because some people actually like to walk around and stuff, and there are
That's
some people
that's,
that
that's a,
actually like do positional stuff where
yeah, but like that's really bad if you're by yourself because you could actually fuck up and like end up hurting yourself pretty badly. Whereas like if you're just sitting in your chair, you don't necessarily need someone there to like make sure you like don't trip over something.
yeah, that's the funny thing too is that's already happening is the thing, but there should just be a VR style where um you have a picture-in-picture format where there's a camera on the outside of the VR headset that gives you like a brief glimpse as to where you are and what's in front of you. Like you can just select a button and it'll show you where you are in the real world.
I don't know about how they're gonna do that because like you have to figure out like the headset's already heavy to be honest, and they're just
Yeah,
adding more components to it.
yeah.
So I mean,
It didn't take very long for VR in Japan to get creepy.
uh,
Now that I think about it,
uh, 2D girl shit.
yeah,
I
there
know
was
the
like a
I've heard
there
the
was like
porn one. It's just weird.
there was something at the TGS where there was a guy. There was a picture of a guy at a booth, and the game was a VR game where it was just like a 2D anime girl on it.
Wasn't he like touching
But
a
yeah,
mannequin?
yeah, it was a mannequin, and he was like fondling breasts. So it's just like,
No,
uh,
no.
I don't want to be that guy, but could that come over here so we could be incredibly creeped out by people who actually play that obsessively?
Some people on Twitch will do that. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
Actually, would that get them banned?
I don't know, honestly. The one thing that I hope happens is that comes out to the West, and then the Game Grumps do a series on it because I remember when they did Dead or Alive Extreme 2, and I was just like, oh yeah, this game is one of those booby simulator games. It's really silly and everything. And then gradually by the end of the series, he was actually like obsessed with he was actually like obsessed with making friends and like
Oh my god.
everything. It was like watching that series is absolutely hilarious just because it's like a mental synapse, like a mental study just happening in front of you. Like he starts off being all silly and funny and everything, like, yeah, this game's for fucking weebs out there. And by the end he's just like, love me! I want you to love me! Why
That's
don't you love me?
that's hilarious. I
I imagine people being like that with whatever that 2D anime girl game is.
probably like I know like people are using it like VR in general to like maintain a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
which is actually really cool, but like at the end of the day, your ultimate goal is to like move in. So I mean like it kind of depends like how long did you plan to be long distance before closing that gap, and that really depends on how much money you have.
Yeah.
And that's the real problem.
The thing is like uh, when I was with my girlfriend at the time, um, she would constantly send pictures of things that had like long distance based things, like a pair of pillows that faintly glow when the other is resting on it, like that kind of thing, where
Oh
like
yeah, I know what you're
the
talking
illusion
about.
of sleeping together. Yeah.
I mean like
Um, there are just a lot of things that I think are interesting about
ye-
VR, and
yeah.
especially in the long distance kind of things.
Well, cause like you can create your avatar any way you want.
Yeah.
It's
You just,
someone I want to say like on Kotaku wrote an article about that and their interactions, and it was kind of interesting because of like the social aspect
yeah.
of like how people reacted. Like it was virtual, but like they were still falling into these like gender norms or like how they respond to it as like their own gender or how they were taught socially, and it's VR isn't necessarily the same as reality, so it's like it's interesting to see people like act the same way they do in the real world.
You just, I'm sorry, like in the middle of you talking about this, like the whole social experiment thing, I came up with the best idea for a VR game.
What?
Just make a VR version of Clue, where you have 7 players in a mansion. Some like a random person is killed, and you have to like find the murderer by looking for clues and everything. Like find out who the murderer is.
So like
And then
Danganronpa VR?
I guess no, no, because like Danganronpa is more like Phoenix Wright.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you're still looking for a murderer.
Yeah, you're still like finding clues and everything, but like the thing I think about is somebody is going to be like in a VR experience, like trying to plant things to make other people suspicious of people who aren't the murderer,
Oh,
and be like,
that could be really interesting.
it'd be like a really mental thing, like having to like constantly like look around and making sure that you can like plant clues, like fake clues and everything. It would be kind of interesting. I think
That
about the
would
same
be.
thing with I think about the same thing as well with games like the Dead by Daylight and the Friday the 13th game. I think about that kind of thing as well would be pretty interesting with VR, where you're a murderer playing against 4 players. Like that kind of thing would be interesting with VR as well. But just the idea of having a murder mystery VR multiplayer be like that'd be really cool to me. Especially if like the mansion is like massive and everything. You add a bunch of detail to it.
Yeah. Actually, like, what if we had like a VR style like Four Swords Adventures game?
Oh no.
That would be
I like
so
it.
much fun.
Yeah. Solving puzzles together.
No, you not necessarily. You're not very cooperative in Four Swords Adventures. You're actually it's more the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Triforce Heroes is actually being cooperative, and honestly, like it's amusing to watch other people play, but trying to play it yourself is actually really irritating.
I remember back in 2011 or something, uh, Valve showed off a demo that Portal 2 working in VR. Um, this was like way before the Oculus and stuff, so it was like it wasn't even with a VR headset or anything. It was like an infrared sensor on your glasses.
Oh, so it was like a test demo.
Yeah, like a motion positional sensor was like the big thing about that, where there was an infrared sensor on your on a person's glasses, and there was a camera tracking IR. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever they looked around, it would track it and do mouse movement motions based on that. I would think that Portal would be very interesting in VR, but I don't think I would want to play it
I
because
think
that would be nauseating. Because it's already nauseating when you like get really disoriented after going through a portal 5 or 6 times in a row.
yeah. So I mean, Valve could try, but I think ultimately that probably would be the result. Is just like someone on the floor being like, "No more, please. I already want
Yeah,
to puke."
when the when the VR thing was uh, starting to become prominent with the Oculus Rift dev kits coming out, I remember seeing a video of a studio making it like a giant, like an apartment-sized area, an entire VR playground. So like there were cameras tracking you across all corners of this room, and inside of it were like boxes to set props, and then you put the VR headset on, and it's this test environment where you have also motion controllers and everything, and it's like this kind of blackish room, like very dark.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put the VR headset on, you were like explorers, and a couple of you had torches. Um, but these boxes and everything around them were like tombs and sarcophaguses of like inside a pyramid or something, and you could like put your hand on the box and everything, and it would like track your motion. So you would like actually be like rubbing your hand across the sarcophagus, and like that kind of thing is interesting to me as well. Is the utilization of VR outside of a video game environment.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot. I was talking to some people, and like they think the Vive is gonna be more for like applications,
Yeah,
so like Photoshop and whatnot. But like PlayStation VR will probably be more game focused,
I
which
could
I'm
think that the
fine with.
Oculus, I could think that the Oculus and the Vive are both equally applicable for environmental VR stuff, like the room that I was explaining earlier. Like that kind of thing is going to be very important
Yeah, it's just that
because
like it's just that like the Vive has like more power to it,
yeah,
so you can do like application based work,
yeah.
like if you were do Photoshop in it. So I feel like it might go towards that
The thing
path.
of the thing as well about the Vive and Oculus is that there are already games like that utilize the multiplayer aspect of VR, which is going to be the most important thing about VR. I think is collaboration and communication between players in a real world situation. Well, semi virtual world simulation. There's a game called Junk Junkers or something, where you and another player are in a hover vehicle, and one of you can control the vehicle, and another person can be like putting junk on the side of it as cover, and then you just go around it like a giant open arena style, and you can just start shooting at other players to try to take them out in like a deathmatch style game.
I mean, like that's still really cool, but I also feel like there is going to be a lot of difficulty in developing for VR.
Yeah, there already has been difficulties in it, but the thing is the only difficulty I can think of about VR is optimizing it for all environments, which is incredibly difficult because no environment is the same with a VR headset. Like no room is going to be the same. There's always going to be a different layout. And the other thing is, how far do you go with VR inclusion? Do you go whole hog and be like, all right, we're going to have full head tracking and also motion tracking, so that if a player is walking around and they want to hide behind cover, they actually have to physically crouch in the real world in order to like hide behind cover? Or are we just going to have that as a simulated action that you can activate with the press of a button? That's the major thing about VR, is that people who develop for it are either going to go fully into it, or they're going to go half into it with a minor inclusion that only really utilizes the player's immersion in it.
I feel
Um,
like developers can have a choice. I just feel like at first we're going to see a lot more of the like minor inclusion, and until like people really know how to do all of the programming to make it so it's full inclusion, then I think we'll move closer towards that. But for now, like having full inclusion, I would say is really difficult because like you'll
right.
have someone crouch down or something and they'll face through the floor, and that's like really, it's not creepy, it's just like freaky
Yeah.
and it's disorienting and
Well, that's going to
choppy.
be the big thing about it as well, is um, VR is going to be like that regardless, just because of how everything works. When you don't include a VR system in it, you can account for player vision accounting for just about everything. Like you can force animation to make sure that they don't clip through things, but you can't force a player to uh, do something that developers intended if you give them the option to. That's why players often glitch out of things. They try to glitch games. That's going to be the same with VR. If a player isn't restricted, they're going to do it. And that's just the human nature of things is when you get to it, people are going to be like, all right, I'm going to hide behind this cover. And if they accidentally like topple themselves a little bit and like lean into the cover a little bit, they're going to phase through. You have to account for that.
True.
But I feel like that kind of thing is going to be like, they might have to like force an animation in order to do that. So like if they go into contact with it or the camera goes into contact with it, then they force a cover, then they force a taking cover animation so that they don't phase through it. But then how are you going to exit that animation unless they're completely tracking that as well?
It's just going to be like something for the programmers to learn and deal with. I mean, consumers don't have to worry about that, but it's definitely something like it's going to be tough for programmers, new and old, to figure out because like it's going to require like a different thought process. Is like how do you go about doing those actions and coding it? So I
Yeah,
mean, like it's just going to be like a tough ride for them. But
that's just the growing pains of VR.
growing pains of like anything new, I want to say
Yeah,
like in terms of tech, you just have to like go about it differently. Eventually, you'll get there.
remember when this was stupid?
Oh
Remember when
yeah,
people thought remember when people thought the 3DS was a stupid idea?
yeah,
Then it,
Prince Money.
yep, now it prints money, and I still have to get my battery replaced.
I haven't heard back from Loopy about the swapping out the capture card onto a different
Yeah.
3DS. Hopefully he responds.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Well, I had a friend like offer to like fix the charging port, and I was like, but the problem is the capture board's on there, and you don't know how
Mm-hmm.
that capture board works. And he's like, oh, that's right.
Right.
I wasn't gonna ask him to like fix the charging port. I just want to know if he could like swap the board onto something else.
It might be cheaper to fix the charging port, but yeah,
Yeah, but like if he has to take it apart anyway, like
might as well just yeah
I'm willing to pay him like whatever.
yeah.
Just needs to like respond.
As long as you include that in your
I forgot to like. I just want to know if he could do it. Like
yeah, that's true.
I think like to me it was like regardless, I'm willing to pay you. It's just like I want to know if I can even do it. Because like I told him I don't want to go to Katsukity because Katsukity isn't reliable.
Yeah, I think the big thing as well is back on the VR topic. I have a lot of ideas for games I want to develop, but a lot of them don't require VR, and it's kind of weird to think, well, I mean, I could do something with VR, but I need a computer that can do it.
I
Like
think
I could probably make a very rough idea of that murder mystery game I was thinking of.
I
But
mean
then it
like
would come right down to including VR into it and then refining the gameplay concepts to make sure that it's fun.
honestly like I feel like you need to first learn how to code in general, and then you
Yeah.
can move on to that.
Well, I know some C# and CSS, so I'm
Um,
fine on that front.
Depending on what your engine is, you might have to learn a different language.
Unity uses C#, JavaScript. So I know some JavaScript and I know some C#, and I know a little bit of C++ because of that class I took. So
You'll need to learn more though, and like you can, I want to say like find stuff on the internet.
well, yeah, that's going to be the big thing. Is it takes a long time to make games. I know that.
Yeah, well, like the thing is if you're like self-taught and say you want to actually bring that to like a company, you
Mhm.
really have to display that like you know what you're fucking doing because
Yep.
like on the flip side, if you go to like college and get a degree, it's clear that you've been taught how to do it, so you should know how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's they don't have to necessarily like doubt your skills necessarily, and then
Yeah.
you sort of work your way from there.
The one thing that annoyed me the most is when I was in high school and I was taking a game development class. Um, I was that guy who constantly abandoned old projects to try to make new things. Like I always dabbled in tiny projects to try new things. And the one thing that annoyed me the most when I was trying to make a bunch of games is that my teacher only cared about what the final product was. He didn't want to see a bunch of proof of concepts. And that's the most disappointing thing to me, is that's what kind of screwed me up a little bit when I started working on games. But I think the saddest thing about game development in general is that it just takes a really long time.
Well, in general, programming takes a really long time because you have to test every little thing. Because like most people assume you just code like the entire thing and you're done. It's like no,
Yeah,
because if you do that, what's going to happen is it's going to fuck up somewhere, but you don't know where. So then you have
yeah,
to start all over again. And it's just better to just test every little thing to make sure it works, and then you can move on to the next bit. And yeah, that just takes a while. It's really tedious, but like it's not something everyone can do. So
I think the most annoying thing about it as well is it it's more than just that kind of thing. If it were a standalone experience, you could balance it yourself. But if it's a multiplayer thing,
it
you not
has
only need to like you not only need to like play test to make sure that everything's fair to what you think of. Now you need to do open play testing to make sure that it's fair
it's
for everyone.
it's fair, and also people want to continue playing it because
Like people who are new to the game can still have a fair shot against players who have played the game forever.
balancing. Yes,
Yeah.
I feel like I was talking to my friend who got a degree in computer science, and even he was kind of like game development is actually, he said, the hardest out of all the things for like computer science because like there's other factors involved. Like it's not just making like an app work, it's like making it fun. There's making like there's other like factors that like depending on how you programmed it or like what was your concept, it may or may not translate to something into like a playable product. So it's in some ways it's actually easier like to develop like an app or something else.
And I think is like murder mysteries have been done quite a bit, but I think the most interesting thing about development of that kind of thing in general is that you can take it however you want. That's what makes games like Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th very interesting, is that it doesn't matter if you have the creativity to make another killer. All you need is the concept of a killer, or the concept of a character. And that's why stuff like, the crazy butcher guy that uh, sacrifices stuff to a blood spider god, or a ghost, or a ghost that can appear and disappear at will and turn invisible, or a dude with a chainsaw. Like anything's possible.
Yeah, but you also have to have some sort of grounding point, and that's just like in stories in general.
Yeah,
Because like some people love to be vague and they love getting like multiple answers. I have someone in my workshop right now who likes that, my poetry, and I'm gonna hate her for it because it's really irritating. But even like the professor was like, you need some anchoring points because otherwise, like, we're not really holding on to anything and we're kind of like irritated by it. Someone did this in a previous workshop with me, but it was fiction instead. It was a story about a bee and a child psychology that was just like, fuck this. I think this person didn't realize what they actually made, and like people made it really intricate and interesting. Whereas like I think she just slapped things on the paper. I didn't
yeah,
quite realize it, and that just pissed me the fuck off.
yeah. That's something I find interesting as well. Is if you vaguely put grounding points in it, then people are just going to put together the dots themselves and then fill in whatever blanks they don't understand on their own. And that's what makes
That's
really interesting playing experiences. That's
I
why Dead
mean
by Daylight is interesting as well, is because you have a killer and you have a goal as the killer, but there's no like description as to why you're doing it. So I've seen players be like making their own backstory on what killer they are and like what their motive is, and that's what makes multiplayer experiences very interesting, is because that kind of thing makes it a lot more interesting for players against a killer.
I mean, like
Um,
Five Nights at Freddy's is like that an aspect where it's like there's missing holes where people seem to fill in themselves, and there's
you're in a restaurant, and there are things trying to kill you. Good luck, survive until 6 a.m. It's like, okay,
but like it's just like if you're just going for the lore aspect of the games, like I think Matt Pat has said this in one of his videos that really it's like there's always a missing piece of the puzzle, and that we're like trained to like are as humans to like fill in that gap, but because we can't fill in that gap because of a missing piece of information, we just want more, and it just keeps growing.
yeah,
And it was just like that's really clever, but like at some point that also just like that becomes too much
yeah,
because then you have like too many opinions going around, and then you don't have anything solid.
yeah. But that's the exciting thing about game development is you don't really know what players are going to conceive from your product unless you just spoon feed them information.
If you don't spoon feed people a lot of information, they just don't know anything. Surprisingly enough.
There are a lot of games that only that really only tell their story through lore that you find in the game, and that's like the only spoon-fed information you can get about things. Other than that, the pieces of the puzzles you find are stuff that you conceive yourself. Um, and that's what I find a lot of survival games do that actually. Like I've been playing The Forest recently, which is a game where you are in an airplane crash but survive, and now you're like stranded on a forest island
I think I know what you're
uh,
talking about.
with a bunch of cannibals.
Oh Jesus, no!
Yeah, so you have to like find your son named Timmy because that's like your first objective. That's your
Find
first
Timmy.
objective as a player. Yeah, find Timmy, your son. But as you explore the forest and everything, and you like go down into like these really dark caves and fight these cannibal tribe people that like make these otherworldly, ungodly horrors of like people merged with like 20 limbs attached to their bodies or something. It's like ultra creepy shit.
The fuck?
Yeah, you like find paintings, like you find
This
drawings
is
from your
nightmare
son on the.
fuel. Why
I
would
know,
why would anyone create this?
I know. I actually had a terrifying moment like that before where I was exploring a cave and I all of a sudden I heard like this really guttural growling down this cave, and I didn't have any flares to like light the cave down further near me to see what was in front of me. So I was just like, okay, I'll turn on my lighter. And all of a sudden I hear the growling get more intense. I hear footsteps approaching. I'm just like, okay, lights off,
Nope,
hide.
nope, nope, nope,
Yeah,
nope,
I
nope,
go nope. I
nope,
start
nope,
backing
nope.
off. Yeah, I start backing off, going further down into the cave. There's still some dim lighting going on, so I just keep backing off. In the dimmest lighting possible, they still manage to like show a silhouette of what is chasing me. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm just gonna stay here. And it starts walking towards me. And just like shit, shit, keep going, keep going. Yeah,
Run,
but
motherfucker, run!
the thing is like eventually your goal is to like find the other passengers, and it turns out that all the other passengers are dead. You like find drawings from your son scrawled about like papers of drawings from your son like attached to parts of the cave walls, and you find like pieces of his figurine that he had, or like pieces of a Bible
He's dead,
from.
isn't he?
I don't know, honestly. The game is like in really early alpha,
Oh, well,
but that kind of thing is exciting to a player because they tell you here's an objective, go do it. Like they give you a very vague telling of what the story is, and then you go and cover it yourself.
I guess like the problem is finding something that's like either too like hold your hand or like too vague, and I think a lot of people are having problem balancing it. And we do need to wrap this up. So
Can I go back to streaming Destiny now?
we first gotta do things like plugs. Do you have any
Yeah.
plugs?
Yeah. Friday. A new Flash Fire's coming out. I've been playing a bit of Forza Horizon 3. The demo's out. It's been out for a while, but I decided to finally get the demo and try it out. So yeah, Forza Horizon 3 is going to get a Flash Fire this Friday. Today's Wednesday, right?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, I got it. Then I still have plenty of time to edit. But yeah, Flash Fire, Forza Horizon 3 is coming out on Friday. Check that out.
We should have an unboxing video of Armando's Persona 5 20th anniversary Famitsu edition up this week or at least early next week.
I hope that secretly he's gonna be way too busy to be able to play Persona 5 for like months. Like he's not gonna be able to play Persona 5 for weeks. And by the time he's gonna be able to play his Japanese version of Persona 5, it's gonna be out already in North America.
You're such an evil asshole.
I know. I'm fighting him. He's just like, I can't wait. I'm going to play a game in a language I don't understand. I'll use Google Translate to understand everything.
Oh,
like,
no.
It's like,
No.
all right, have fun with that.
I don't have any plugs right now, but what I do want to talk about is our Patreon. So if you guys don't already know, if you pay $1 a month, you get our podcast a day early, and you get access to our Blaze Kick exclusive podcast where we talk about other things that we would normally cover on, say, the PlayStation Point, Nintendo Unleashed, or Project Scorpio. So, and if you want to pay us $5 a month, you get all of our original video content a day early. So Flashfire, Blaze Kick Eats, any other videos we're going to make in the future, you will get those day early if you do $5 a month. Remember, guys, it's a two-way road. We're already making content, but if you want more content and at better quality content, support us, and we'll provide that content. It's a win-win. So if you can support us, why not? It's just like a small amount. We're not asking for much, and we do have goals that I've already said in our Patreon video. So go visit patreon.com/blazecake. And we shall be there waiting for your subscription, donation, whatever you want to call it. We'll be waiting for that. And thank you to all of our current patrons. We appreciate your support. And thank you again for that. We also have a website that we'd love you to go visit that helps us get into press events such as E3. It is blazekick.com. And then we also have a YouTube channel where we post a lot of this, and we're going to be posting more content in the future. It is youtube.com/user/blazekickmedia. And then on Twitter, our Twitter handle is @blazekicktweet. My own Twitter handle is demon_sorceress. And what is yours, Tyler?
@replaytieheretic.
And that really wraps it up for the week. Hopefully we'll be back next week with some more game news, content, and anything else we have played. Hopefully. I'll try to play something. I've been really busy.
I'm playing Destiny.
Lucky motherfucker. I gotta go to a Japanese midterm. So,
I get to be an Iron Lord.
the fuck, Tyler? Okay, so we shall see you guys later. Thank you again, and bye, guys.